all the media attention we've been getting around this is not actually about me. Because I don't care how good my hair is, it's not worthy of the kind of headlines we've been getting. What's happening is that Canadians across the country who've had this deep feeling for a while that we deserve better, that we can do better, that we can believe in our politics once again, that we can participate in our politics once again, have finally seen that perhaps there's someone able to do it. And I'm just one of the very first to launch my leadership campaign for the Liberal Party. I'm confident that others, when they launch, will be sharing a similar kind of view. Now, nobody has my hair, so it won't be that kind of attention. But it will be the start of something new for the Liberal Party. The Liberal Party doesn't have to recreate itself, doesn't have to rebuild. The Liberal Party has to create, and it has to build. People for too long have been sitting back and saying, you know what, sooner or later, Canadians who are not a polarized people, who are not ideological, who are very pragmatic and very open and generous and conscientious in the way we engage with the world, will realize that these parties of the left or of the right that divide, that micro-target, that play off one region against another, one generation against another, one language or background against another, Canadians will realize that this is not the way we need to go, and they'll turn around and vote for the Liberal Party once again. Yeah, well, you know where that kind of thinking got us? Got us from 170 seats in 2000 to 135 or so in the next election, to 100 in the election after that, to 77 in the election after that, to 35 in the election after that. And if you continue the trend line, we end up at 1 seat, because I'm not losing Papineau. But obviously, and the Liberal Party, as it sits back and talks about how great it was in its past, we say silly things like, the Liberal Party created Canada. Look at Medicare. Look at our prosperous economy. Look at our balanced books. Look at our engaged foreign policy. Look at the Constitution and the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. Look at all the things we've done. The Liberal Party did that? No. Canadians did that. The Liberal Party listened to Canadians, pulled people together, and was the vehicle for that. And we have to be that once again. What's exciting is that we're facing a time in politics where the tools at our disposal are greater than ever before for connecting people, for plugging them in, for listening to them, for involving them. From the grassroots riding levels all the way up to talking directly on a web chat with the Prime Minister. The way we can do politics is totally different if, and only if, the Liberal Party is willing to do two things. First of all, not make choices about who we want to speak to, who we want to hear from, who we want to speak for. Both of the other big parties in the House have picked their regions, picked their issues. Mr. Harper's put an X over Quebec. Mr. Mulcair's put an X over Alberta. And they've figured out through advanced electoral math that they can win by picking up these votes and ignoring those. Well, the Liberal Party needs to be once again the kind of party that Canada needs, which is a party that speaks for everyone, to everyone, coast to coast to coast, from the Atlantic to the Pacific, from the Great Lakes to the Highlands. We have been a party that has been far too focused in on ourselves, looking at our own belly buttons and arguing over who gets to sit in the front seat of driving the big red bus, when we're not noticing the bus is careening wildly all along the road and perhaps going over a cliff. We have to turn outwards once again to Canadians, to reach out in kitchen tables, in kitchens, in church basements, in community centers, in temples and gurdwaras, right across the country, to listen to people and to show them that their voices can be heard, that they can be part of creating a better world for ourselves, a stronger economy. And as we do that, and as we think about the choices we have to make, we have to ask ourselves, as we want a strong country, as we want a prosperous economy, as we want a fair balance, how do we define that? How do we build that? And the answer comes through the answer that has given us strong, prosperous societies through the entire 20th century. The stories around the world of recent success, whether it be China, India, South Korea, Brazil, are stories of middle-class success, of reaching out to those people who work hard for a living and making sure that they're able to succeed. Making sure that we're able to care for our parents as they age and make sure our kids go to good schools as they mature. Make sure that we're feeling that the next generation has a chance of doing as well, if not better, than we will. And that was the idea of progress throughout the 20th century. We sensed that every next generation would do better than the one before. And that no longer holds true, not automatically. And the idea that we have to get back that means investing and creating and enhancing, once again, a strong middle class. Because it provides opportunity for the less fortunate to reach up and succeed and get those jobs that are going to allow them to thrive, while at the same time generating the kind of prosperity that allows us to give that hand up to those people who need it. It gives a market for our businesses. It gives an opportunity for all. And around unity of this country, which is not just a question of Quebec versus the rest of the country anymore. There are tensions east to west, urban to rural, English to French, new Canadians to people who've been here for generations. There are an awful lot of fault lines in this country. And when we talk about Canadian unity, we have to understand that it has always been the middle class, not the political class, that unites this country. And when we pull together, and when we understand that creating opportunities here in Burlington have an impact across the province, that a prosperous Alberta creates opportunities in Nova Scotia, that the innovation we can come about in BC echoes to Europe, to Asia. The idea that we are all in this together is one that we have allowed our politicians to downplay, to ignore. Well, my friends, Canada is the one place in the world that has figured out that we are strong, not in spite of our differences, but because of them. And our capacity to pull together once more and build a country worthy of our hopes and dreams rests in our hands, rests in everything that we have to offer them. Throughout this leadership campaign, which will not happen on the cover of national newspapers, will not hinge on what a particular columnist or pundit had to say about us, but will hinge on how Canadians feel reached out to and connected with. Canadians will judge us by our work ethic, by how hard we are willing to work for them, to fight for them, to listen to them. Canadians will judge us once again by our capacity to pull this country together and build a brighter future for all. Not just for us, not just for the Liberal Party, but for all Canadians. That is the barometer by which we will be successful in this leadership campaign. That is the marker by which we know we will be successful in the next election campaign. That is what I'm asking of you. That is why it's so important that you get involved, sign up as supporters of the Liberal Party, donate some of your time, your effort, your money, connect with other people, start talking about the country you want to build, and then roll up your sleeves, come together with the Liberal Party, and let's get building. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup.